Hello, and welcome to Science for Sleep, a place where wonder meets rest, where your mind can wander through the quiet beauty of the universe, while your body gently drifts toward sleep. Tonight, we invite you to close your eyes and let the tide carry you. Our story begins not in the ocean, but in the sky, with a quiet companion that's always watching from above. The moon, soft and constant, it moves through the heavens like a breath, but its presence reaches deeper than we see. It touches the earth and stirs the sea. In this bedtime journey, titled Tidal Secrets, How the Moon Commands the Sea, we'll explore the graceful, invisible dance between moon and ocean. We'll follow the tides as they rise and fall, unravel the science beneath the waves, and discover how this ancient relationship shapes not only the earth, but also you. So settle in, let go of your day, and come with me to the edge of the shore, where the water listens to the sky. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Sky's Silent Companion. Above you, the night unfolds like velvet, deep and dark and infinite. Somewhere in that softness, the moon appears, rising slowly, effortlessly. Pale gold at first, then cool silver. You watch it without effort, as if your gaze has always belonged to it. There it is, high and hushed, the Earth's oldest companion. The moon does not flicker or burn like the stars. It doesn't shout its presence. It drifts, patient, constant. You begin to feel something ancient settle inside you, like a tide returning home. You lie still, breathing in rhythm with the darkness. And up there, the moon breathes too, though not with lungs. It breathes with movement, with gravity, with presence. It casts a glow not just on rooftops and waves, but on memory itself. You remember old walks under moonlight, how the silence seemed to expand. You remember feeling very small, but never alone. There is something about the moon that makes stillness feel full. You notice it now, the way time softens in its glow. Moments stretch, worries ebb. Your body, mostly water, begins to feel a strange kinship with the sea. A pull, a listening. You may not feel it directly, but the ocean does. Right now, somewhere beyond your window, tides are stirring. The moon is tugging on entire coastlines, coaxing waves forward, drawing water up the curve of the shore. It is not a forceful pull. It is a suggestion, a beckoning. The moon leans, and the sea listens. And so do you. We often forget that we live inside a relationship, not just with Earth, but with its closest neighbor. The moon is not simply a light in the sky. It is a sculptor of oceans, a regulator of time, a quiet engine of life itself. You don't need to see the tides to believe this. You need only to feel the way stillness carries motion beneath it. You are not separate from the tides. The same moon that lifts the sea lifts something in you. Your heartbeat, your cycles, your sleep, all of it touched by that distant sphere. Not commanded, but invited. You imagine yourself lying at the edge of the ocean. Cool sand beneath you, the rhythmic hush of waves around you. Above, the moon glows like a memory you never made, but always knew. The tide rises slowly, touching your feet, then your knees. You are still. You are safe. You are connected to something vast and soft and sure. The moon moves in silence, but its language is fluent. It speaks through water, through balance, through time. Every part of the earth that faces it feels that message every day, twice a day. Tides follow its rhythm faithfully for billions of years. And you are part of that rhythm. Before science, there were stories. People watched the moon and guessed its meaning. They made myths, gods, calendars. They saw it rise and fall and rise again, and they knew it had purpose. Even without equations or satellites, they could feel that connection, that trust in the moon's return. Now we understand more. We know the moon orbits us because of gravity, a pull between mass and mass. But gravity is not only a fact, it is also a feeling. The way your feet stay grounded, the way your body, tired at the end of the day, settles into the bed, the way your thoughts, once scattered, now slow. You let gravity hold you, the same gravity that holds the moon. And the moon doesn't orbit randomly. It moves in an ellipse, slightly stretched, always changing distance from Earth. Sometimes closer, sometimes farther. This soft wobble affects the tides too. Not all waves are equal. The moon paints its strokes unevenly, like an artist who follows mood. You begin to wonder, if the moon shapes oceans with this much care, what else does it shape? Does it change how trees grow? How turtles return to shore? How people dream? The answer, gently, is yes. Yes, in ways subtle and deep. Life responds to rhythm, and the moon is rhythm. It is easy to think of the moon as a background character, passive, decorative, but that quiet companion has kept Earth steady for billions of years. Its pull slows our spin. Without it, days would rush by, winds would scream, seasons would blur. The moon keeps time not with ticks, but with tides. And tonight, as you lie still, you feel that time slowing. The world softens. The light changes. There is no hurry. The moon is never in a rush. You are allowed to rest. The moon is a mirror. It reflects sunlight, yes, but it also reflects your attention. When you look at it, you are also looking inward, at calm, at gravity, at quiet power. In this moment, your breath matches the ocean's sigh. The moon drifts above, pulling the sea closer, and part of you goes with it. You do not need to understand every equation to feel this truth, that we live in a system of movement and meaning. That light has rhythm, that stillness can pull. Somewhere across the globe, another person looks up at the same moon. Their thoughts slow, their breath deepens. They, too, feel the presence of that silent companion. The moon connects us not through words, but through wonder. And what a wonder it is, that something so distant can shape something so vast. That something so gentle can move mountains of water. That something so quiet can whisper to your bones. And so you close your eyes, still held by the moon's gaze, still listening to the tides it calls forth. But what is this invisible pull, this unseen touch, that lets a distant rock move an entire ocean? You feel the question, not with urgency, but with curiosity. The answer comes slowly, patiently. It begins with gravity. And that, dear traveler, is where we go next. Chapter 2, Gravity's Invisible Threads. You close your eyes, and the weight of the day slowly floats away. You begin to drift inward, but also outward, as if something unseen is carrying you gently toward the stars. You are light, and yet you are still tethered. There is no rope, no chain, no visible cord. But something holds you. That something is gravity. It is the most familiar mystery. You have felt it since birth. You feel it now in the rise and fall of your chest, in the pull of your limbs against the softness of your bed. It is the reason your feet touch the earth and the moon stays in the sky. But gravity is not a force you can touch. It is a conversation, one that space has with mass, one that mass has with time. Imagine space not as emptiness, but as a soft fabric. Each object that has mass, you, the moon, the earth, even the breath in your lungs, presses down on that fabric. And where the fabric bends, gravity flows. The bigger the mass, the deeper the dent. The earth makes a smooth, deep curve. The moon, smaller but still powerful, creates a ripple of its own. The two shapes lean toward each other, not because they want to, but because the fabric of space gently encourages them. The moon doesn't fall to Earth, and Earth doesn't push it away. Instead, they circle, always close, always apart, held in an eternal embrace. This quiet spinning is more than a motion, it is a rhythm. Gravity is the conductor of this cosmic music. And the oceans? They are the instrument. When you stand at the shoreline and see the sea retreat or rise, you are witnessing this music. The moon pulls at Earth, and Earth holds firm, but the water in between listens more freely. It shifts, it moves, it answers. The tides are not abrupt. They do not snap or surge without warning. They ease forward like a whisper, like a breath taken slowly. Water lifts from the shore and bows toward the moon, as if in greeting. Hours later, it slips back, only to return again. It is a cycle without haste. But why does water move, while land mostly stays? It is because water is patient. It does not resist the pull, it flows with it. And gravity, though soft in voice, is insistent in rhythm. It never stops asking. The moon's gravity tugs at the ocean, and the ocean listens. A bulge forms on the side of Earth facing the moon, a mound of water pulled ever so slightly toward the sky. But here is the beautiful part. Another bulge appears on the opposite side of Earth. How can this be? It is because gravity doesn't only pull, it creates motion. As the moon pulls one side of the Earth's oceans, the Earth itself is pulled slightly toward the moon, leaving behind water on the far side. Like a child tugging a blanket, the fabric bunches up at both ends. So the tides rise not once, but twice. One toward the moon, one away from it. As Earth spins, you pass through both tides each day. A slow, rocking rhythm that you don't even notice unless you sit beside the shore and watch. And yet, even inland, even far from the ocean, you are touched by it. The air above you, the water inside you, the motion of clouds and storms, all are brushed by the moon's steady reach. The oceans swell and sigh. Beaches are drawn and redrawn, grains of sand shifting with every tide. Sea creatures rise with the pull, then sink with the release. Even coral, even plankton, even the smallest shellfish feel the beat of this ancient metronome. This is the same force that keeps the planets in orbit. The same quiet gravity that allows stars to gather and galaxies to spin. And yet, it works inside you too. You are mostly water. And that water, though held tightly by skin and cell, still listens. Scientists have long wondered how lunar gravity might sway our bodies, our sleep, our mood, our rhythm. The tides move the sea, and perhaps they move something in us as well. Not like a wave, not like a storm, but like a quiet reminder, like a thread pulling at the edge of a thought. If you could see gravity, it might look like light bending around a curve, like wind moving through tall grass, or the slow, steady spin of a mobile above a crib, always turning, never rushed. It does not yell, it hums, and in that hum, you find stillness. There is something comforting in knowing that you are part of this vast, invisible web, that you are not standing alone on the surface of Earth, but suspended in a dance that includes the moon, the tides, the stars. Everything you know is held together by it. Your home, your breath, your sleep. Even now, as you lie quietly, the moon is pulling at the sea. Somewhere, water is rising. Somewhere else, it is falling. And above you, the moon continues its path around the earth, held by the same invisible threads. It is this silent motion, this eternal draw, that turns the tide. And just as water answers gravity, so too does time. The next thought begins not with pull, but with rise, when oceans, under the moon's gaze, begin their slow and sacred ascent. Chapter 3: The Ocean's Gentle Rise. You lie beside the sea tonight, eyes half closed, where the sky leans into the horizon. The sand is cool beneath your fingertips, damp with the breath of something vast. You hear it first, the slow exhale of waves brushing the shore, a hush that feels like a lullaby whispered just for you. The tide is coming in, not in a rush, not with urgency, but with a careful, rhythmic patience. Like a child reaching for the hand of its parent, the water climbs higher, stretching toward the land. Each wave leaves behind a trace, a silver shimmer, a trail of bubbles, a curl of seaweed. And then it retreats, only to return again, older. Above you, the moon keeps watch, pale and constant. It pulls the ocean toward it with invisible fingers. You can't see the tug, but you can feel it. The sea knows. Your body knows. You are mostly water, after all. The rise of the tide is not just a phenomenon of the sea. It's something ancient and shared. High tide, the moment when the ocean comes closest to land. It happens slowly, imperceptibly. You could watch for minutes and see nothing change. And yet, if you were to close your eyes and wait, then open them again later, the difference would be undeniable. The shoreline would have shifted. The world would feel closer to the water. This is the moon's embrace, and it is soft. Not a pull that jerks or drags, but a coaxing, a leaning. Gravity stretches the earth itself. The oceans bulge outward, not only on the side closest to the moon, but also on the far side, where inertia balances the celestial dance. It's as if the earth wears two liquid halos, one always chasing the moon, the other lagging behind. And the land beneath you rotates. Earth spins beneath the twin swells of water, passing through the bulges like a gentle ride through waves of time. Where you are right now, the ocean is rising to meet you because your spot on the earth is moving into alignment with the moon's pull. If you think of the ocean as breathing, then high tide is the full inhale, a slow gathering, a drawing in of everything it touches. Sea foam curls around your toes. Driftwood lifts a little higher. Tiny sand crabs retreat into their burrows as the salt water kisses the beach. There is no sound quite like it, the hush and hiss of waves arriving, one after another, like thoughts you didn't know you had. Some soft, some heavy, some slipping into silence. You breathe with it, your body rising and falling to match its rhythm. Each high tide is part of a cycle. The moon does not pull with the same force every day. Its orbit is not a perfect circle. Some days it is closer to us, a position called perigee, and the tides stretch higher. Other days it is farther, called apogee, and the ocean's rise is more modest. And there are more players in this story. The sun, distant but mighty, joins in with its own gravitational pull. When the moon and sun align, during new moons and full moons, their forces combine to create spring tides, when the ocean swells with extra energy. And when the moon sits at a right angle to the sun, their pulls partially cancel, giving rise to gentler, neap tides. But tonight, you don't need to know the math. You only need to listen. A wave reaches your ankles and makes you flinch just a little. Not from cold, but from recognition. This water has been moving for days, weeks. Some of it may have been beneath Antarctica. Some perhaps past coral reefs or brushed the hulls of distant ships. It comes to you now bearing memories. The sea has no beginning or end. The drop that touches your foot could have once been rain falling into the Amazon, or mist hanging over Tokyo, or part of a glacier sliding into a Norwegian fjord. And now, here it is, resting beside you. High tide is a gathering of stories, a meeting place. Seaweed from distant shores, shells from unseen creatures, driftwood shaped by winds you'll never feel. They all arrive with the water, as if called by something older than time. You feel the earth turning, not in a dizzying way, but in a slow, reliable rhythm. Every coastline in the world shares this motion. It doesn't matter if it's midnight or noon where they are. Somewhere, someone else is feeling the tide rise too. They may be walking along cliffs or sitting on a dock or sleeping on a boat. But they, like you, are being reached. This is not a solitary experience. You are part of a global choreography. Billions of liters of water moving in cycles, whispering to rocks, brushing piers, feeding marshes, and lapping at sandy toes. All because of the moon's quiet persuasion. You sit with this thought, that the moon's reach is felt not in grand displays, but in the subtle arrival of one wave after another. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply pulls, gently, endlessly. And as you sit, the tide reaches its highest point. The waves hesitate, as if holding their breath. Then, without drama, they begin to fall back. It happens so quietly you almost miss it. The ocean begins to let go, and you, in your stillness, begin to feel the rhythm not just of arrival, but of retreat, of letting go, of the pause between. Because tides don't just rise, they fall, and when they do, the earth exhales just as gently. The water that just touched your toes will now begin its journey back to sea. And you, too, may begin to wonder, what guides the tides so precisely, so constantly? Why do they come and go with such grace? What breath or balance moves them through the day? And what if, just like the sea, the entire earth is breathing too? Let's see in next chapter. Chapter 4. Twice a day, the earth breathes. You rest now, eyes closed or almost there, as the world around you exhales. It happens so slowly you might never notice. The gentle shifting of water, the tidal hush in the distance. But if you listen, not with your ears but with your bones, you'll sense it. The earth is breathing. Twice a day, the ocean swells and falls, following a rhythm older than memory. These tides are not chaotic. They are the lullaby of a spinning planet wrapped in the arms of its companion moon. You are part of this lullaby too. Your body, your breath, your blood, all pulled and released by forces far above. As the moon orbits the Earth, it draws the ocean toward it, like a thread tugging at a silk curtain. This is high tide. But here's something that feels like a quiet miracle. There are not just one, but two high tides each day. One faces the moon directly. The other, on the opposite side of the world, forms from inertia, the tendency of water to keep moving even as the earth spins beneath it. It's as if the ocean is being stretched ever so gently from both sides, drawn into an elongated shape. You may not see it from the shore, but from space, Earth's watery skin is never still. It breathes in these two pulses day after day. Inhale, exhale, inhale again. In between those highs come the lows. Low tides reveal what's usually hidden. Wet sand, scattered shells, tiny creatures scurrying between rocks. These moments are not just pauses. They are chances for renewal, for shifting. The intertidal zone, the place between high and low, becomes a living canvas, constantly redrawn. Your body knows tides more than you think. Your blood follows the same saline rhythm. Your sleep cycles move with lunar phases more subtly than any clock can measure. There's a reason the moon has been linked to mood, to mystery, to sleep, because your system, too, inhales and exhales in quiet patterns. Across the world, cultures have lived by the tide's rhythm. Fishers, sailors, moon watchers, all listening to the water's gentle call. The tide was a timekeeper before clocks, a calendar before months. It dictated planting, harvesting, traveling, resting. To them, the sea was a teacher, and the moon, its voice. You imagine now the oceans as lungs, vast, shimmering, saltwater lungs. As the earth turns, they rise and fall, drawing breath under lunar command. And you, lying here, are a smaller version of this same truth. Your lungs expand as the tide comes in. They relax as the tide goes out. There is a unity here, quiet, undeniable. Sometimes, the tides grow stronger, as if the moon's pull sharpens. These are spring tides, not named for the season, but from the word springing forth. They happen when the moon and sun align, during new and full moons, and their combined gravity amplifies the swell. On other nights, when the sun and moon form a right angle, their forces cancel slightly, creating gentler neap tides. These changes are predictable, but never boring. They keep coastlines alive, etching and erasing in endless rhythm. Coral reefs bloom and rest in tidal timing. Crabs hide and emerge. Seabirds learn the schedule better than we do. Your own emotional tides follow a similar pattern. Sometimes, you feel the full pull of life's gravity. Other times, you drift in the stillness. It is natural. Like the ocean, your low moments are not failures, but part of your breath. You wonder, perhaps, if the earth feels this breath, this back and forth rocking. You wonder if the moon notices the ripple it creates with such ease. And maybe it does. Maybe this pull is a conversation we just haven't learned to interpret. Tides also shape the land, not in sudden crashes, but in patient gestures. Sandbars shift, estuaries evolve, even cliffs, carved by time and tide, bear the soft fingerprints of lunar gravity. The world is not solid, not really. It flows, it breathes, it bends. Tonight, as you rest, Imagine the Earth's slow inhale. The tide is rising somewhere. It always is. And elsewhere, the water is quietly slipping away, drawing lines on stone, leaving kelp behind like folded blankets. Everything is in motion, but nothing is rushed. This is not the chaotic motion of storms or quakes. This is the kind of movement that soothes, like rocking in a hammock, like drifting in warm water, like sleep itself. The tide is a lullaby, a science song, a planetary rhythm that plays on. The moon has done this for billions of years, and it will go on doing it long after this night passes, long after your breath evens, and your thoughts settle, and dreams begin to surface. You might picture the Earth as a child held gently by the moon's gravity, rocked to rest in the cradle of space. And you, too, are being rocked. You are safe. You are steady. You are made of rhythm. Now, just before you let go fully into sleep, you may wonder, does the moon pull everything the same? Does every coastline feel the same tide? Or is there a deeper pattern, something more subtle, perhaps a difference in the moon's hold? And if the tides shift, what else might the moon be shifting to? Let's see in next chapter. Chapter 5. The moon's shifting grip. The moon is still there, resting in the sky, quiet, patient, reliable. But tonight, you begin to notice that its pull is not always the same. Just as emotions rise and fall within you, the ocean's surface changes, not randomly, but rhythmically. Some tides swell like a breath held long and deep. Others come gently, barely stirring the shore. You are beginning to understand. The moon's grip shifts. The sea listens closely to the moon, but it is not obedient in the way you might expect. It responds with nuance, with timing. When the moon is full or new, something special happens. The sun, too, joins the dance, pulling alongside or in opposition, depending on the day. And when both celestial bodies align, the ocean swells higher than usual. These are spring tides, not named for the season, but for the way the water springs forward. You may not see it from your window, but in that alignment, the gravitational forces of the moon and the sun stretch Earth's oceans like soft fabric. High tides climb higher, low tides dip lower, and during these days, coastlines inhale deeply. The Earth's breath becomes more dramatic, more noticeable, more complete. Then, there are days of gentler rhythm, when the moon and the sun form a right angle in the sky, like quiet disagreement between old friends. Their forces compete rather than combine. These are the neap tides. The sea doesn't rise as far, doesn't fall as deep. It becomes subdued, a little reserved, like a shy mood settling into the body. You begin to feel a kind of empathy for the ocean, how it responds to the sky, how it cannot help but follow the invisible dance above. The tides become less about physics and more about feeling. Just as your thoughts are shaped by the push and pull of memory and desire, so the sea is shaped by lunar rhythm. Each of these tidal shifts happens with such predictable grace. Roughly every 2 weeks, the pattern returns. Spring, then neap. Neap, then spring. A lunar tide cycle, steady as a heartbeat. Even when you don't see the moon, its influence remains, shaping not just oceans but animals, plants, sleep, and blood. Think of your own rhythms, the way your energy rises and falls, how your emotions sometimes arrive in waves. Some days you are pulled open, drawn toward everything. Other days, you retreat quietly inward. You, too, have spring tides and neap tides. And perhaps, in some small way, the moon is part of that. Science shows us that during full moons, sleep can become more restless. Some say our bodies, made mostly of water, are tugged ever so slightly by lunar gravity, that the fluids in your cells feel what the ocean feels. While studies differ and mysteries remain, the idea carries a kind of poetry, that you, the ocean, and the sky are joined in one slow, tidal breath. And there is more, because this shifting grip is not just a matter of gravity. The Earth's distance from the moon changes, too. Sometimes, the moon is closer in its elliptical orbit, a position called perigee. Other times, it's farther away, apogee. A perigean spring tide, when a full or new moon coincides with closest distance, creates especially high tides. These are sometimes called king tides, majestic and strong, though entirely natural. They remind you that even tiny changes in distance can make a great difference. A shift of a few thousand miles in space, and the water on Earth leaps higher. You begin to sense how interconnected it all is, how sensitive the system must be, how even the smallest gravitational nudge reshapes entire shorelines. The moon is not alone in shaping the tides. The sun plays a role, larger in mass, but farther away. Its influence is subtler, like a soft second voice in a duet. Together, they create harmonics, sometimes reinforcing each other, sometimes softening one another. You are not listening to a solo. You are listening to a celestial symphony. In some parts of the world, the tide shifts are monumental. In the Bay of Fundy in Canada, for instance, the tides can rise more than 50 feet. Water floods in like a slow-motion waterfall, then retreats again with hypnotic calm. It's not just the moon and the sun. It's also the shape of coastlines, the contours of the sea floor, the pace of Earth's rotation. Everything joins the rhythm. And just as landscapes respond differently, so do living things. Coral time their spawning to the lunar cycle, releasing clouds of life into the tide. Shorebirds nest and feed according to moonlight. Even some plants open and close based on tidal patterns. The moon's shifting grip is a quiet conductor in this oceanic orchestra of life. Your breath deepens. You begin to imagine your own body as part of this greater system. Your bloodstream, like the sea, responding to cycles older than memory. Your mind, like a coastline, shaped by unseen pulls. It brings comfort, the idea that your highs and lows are natural, expected, even beautiful. You remember that nothing in nature stays at its peak forever. Even the highest tide must fall, and even the lowest tide rises again. This rhythm does not rush. It simply is. The moon's grip may shift, but it never lets go. It is constant in its movement, faithful in its change. You are beginning to understand that constancy doesn't mean sameness. It means being present through every variation. And as you lie quietly now, you wonder, what else does the Earth's tilt and timing shape beneath our feet? How does the angle of the planet, a quiet, leaning truth, affect the dance of tides, winds, and days to come? Your thoughts drift, like sea foam carried on a gentle current, toward the tilt of the Earth and the subtle, shaping forces still to unfold. Chapter 6. The Earth's Quiet Tilt. The Earth does not stand upright. It leans, ever so slightly, like a person listening closely to a whisper. This small tilt, about 23.5 degrees, is not a flaw. It is a feature, a soft, imperfect angle that gives the seasons their breath, the winds their voice, and the tides their depth. You lie still, letting the weight of your body sink into your bed, and in your mind, you rise above the globe. You see it slowly spinning, not like a toy top held straight, but slightly askew, like a globe touched gently by time. The North Pole leans toward the stars, and the South away, and the moon, always circling, watches this slow sway with interest. The tilt of the Earth makes it possible for the moon to tease the oceans in 1,000 different ways. Without the tilt, tides would be more predictable, but far less poetic. Instead, the moon's pull varies, sometimes lifting water gently in northern latitudes, other times calling it quietly in the south. It changes with the seasons, with the angles, with the invisible geometry between Earth, Moon, and Sun. You may think of gravity as a rope, but here, it behaves more like music, a harmony of distance and direction. The moon doesn't pull the oceans in one place alone. It pulls in rings, in overlapping fields of influence, changing shape as the Earth turns and tilts. Imagine the planet like a great marble floating in ink. Its surface, the ocean, responds to every touch from the moon. But because of the tilt, the ink pools unevenly. Some parts deepen, others thin. These are your tides. Axial tilt creates a rhythmic imbalance, and from imbalance comes motion. It's a reminder that nothing in nature is perfectly straight or perfectly still. You, too, are made of quiet tilts. Your spine curves slightly as you sleep. Your thoughts drift at soft angles, not lines. Nature, even in its symmetry, is beautifully off-center. In summer, when your part of the planet leans closer to the sun, the moon's pull intersects differently with the oceans below. It lifts more in some places, less in others. And in winter, the opposite. This creates what are called seasonal tides, gentle variations in the ocean's breath, shaped not just by gravity, but by geometry. The moon orbits the Earth at a tilt too, about 5 degrees from Earth's orbital plane. These two tilts, Earth's and the moon's, create a dance of shadows and shapes. Together, they cause the plane of high tides to wobble over time. Over years, the pattern of tides shifts like a slow waltz. You feel none of this as you sleep, but your world feels all of it. Think of the oceans like vast bowls of water gently being tipped. Sometimes the tipping comes from below, tectonic motion, ocean currents. But often, it is from above. The moon pulling one side more than the other, the sun lending its weight, and the Earth's tilt changing the stage on which this play unfolds. This is why tides are not the same everywhere. Why the Bay of Fundy breathes with massive, 50-foot tides, while other coasts sigh with only inches. It is not just the moon or the gravity, but the shape of the coastline, the depth of the water, and yes, the tilt of the spinning Earth beneath it all. In this tilt, there is a lesson of humility. That balance does not mean sameness. That leaning is not falling. That to tip towards something, a moon, a thought, a dream, is to move, and motion is life. Your body, like the Earth, is tilted toward its own rhythms. Hormones rise and fall. Heartbeats skip, then steady. Your breathing leans into dreams, then back into silence. You are not a still machine. You are a tilted planet of your own. Even the crust beneath your feet shifts minutely as Earth spins on its tilted axis. The centrifugal force from rotation causes the planet to bulge at the equator just slightly. The moon notices this bulge. It pulls at it. And over centuries, this small tug slows Earth's rotation bit by bit, and the moon drifts farther away. This, too, is part of the tidal story. Every night, as you sleep, the moon inches away. It leaves slowly, gently, pulled not by choice, but by consequence. As it recedes, it takes with it a bit of our momentum. Days grow longer by milliseconds over eons. The Earth tilts still, but it spins more slowly. The moon, in pulling tides, pulls time itself. One day, perhaps billions of years from now, the moon will be too far to pull tides in the same way. But tonight, its rhythm still governs the sea. And the sea, in turn, still touches every shore and every dreamer who sleeps nearby. You imagine the moon as a conductor and Earth as an orchestra. The tilt adds tension, variety, and beauty to the song. Without it, the melody would flatten. There is comfort in this imbalance. It suggests that imperfection is not error, but art, and that movement begins where symmetry ends. As your breath deepens, the rhythm of your body matches the slow spinning of the tilted Earth. You are aligned with its gentle slant. The moon continues its orbit, whispering through tides and shadows. And deep beneath you, the sea responds. Somewhere between Earth and moon, gravity sings a duet, and you are part of its echo. Soon, you'll meet the land where that echo is written in stone and sand, where the shoreline keeps the memory of every tide that has ever touched it. Chapter 7. The Shoreline's Secret Memory. The tide has slipped away again. You sit near the water's edge, toes resting in damp sand, the air tasting faintly of salt and thyme. The ocean hums in the distance, a low, steady breath. Behind you, the land sleeps. Before you, the sea remembers. The shoreline is not still. It is always being rewritten. Each wave arrives like a sentence, sometimes gentle, sometimes bold. The sand receives it without resistance, letting the water carve stories onto its skin. This chapter isn't only about the tides that rise and fall. It is about what they leave behind. Tiny shells, broken glass smoothed by time, the ripple mark of a retreating current, all fragments of a much older tale. You begin to notice how the beach holds memory, how the coastline is a living library. Every flood and every ebb scribbles something new across its surface. You lean back and look at the horizon. Somewhere out there, the moon tugs quietly on the sea. The pull doesn't just move water. It moves history. Over millennia, tides have shaped continents. They have swallowed forests and revealed sunken valleys. Entire shorelines have migrated, inch by inch, breath by breath. You don't see this when you look quickly, but when you slow down, when you listen closely, the stories rise like mist. The coastline of Earth is not a border. It is a conversation. Where ocean and land meet, they do not argue. They sway into each other. And in this gentle give and take, the shore becomes a memory keeper. It holds echoes of storms long gone, tsunamis that crashed and receded, and peaceful days where nothing more than a lazy ripple touched its skin. There are places where ancient tides once roamed far inland. Fossils of sea creatures lie buried beneath cities, reminders that what feels solid and unmoving once danced with the sea. Once, whales swam where mountains now sleep. Tidal memory is layered. The upper sand holds today's footprints, yours, and maybe the careful tracks of a seabird. Just beneath that, yesterday's tide line. Deeper still, sediment laid by tides years ago. Even deeper, compressed layers of time, turned to stone, holding hints of ancient shorelines and extinct rhythms. Your own memories work like this, don't they? Surface moments are fresh and fragile. Then come older ones, shaped and reshaped by emotion, interpretation, the tides of thought. Far below are moments you no longer remember consciously, yet they anchor you. They are the bedrock of your story. You run your fingers through the sand. The grains shift. So many shapes, so many sources. Coral, granite, shell, volcanic glass. Each grain has journeyed through water and time to reach your hand. You're not just touching the present. You're touching millions of years. The moon never hurries. The ocean never forgets. And so the shore, caught between them, becomes a meditation, an unfolding poem, a slow pulse of change that still somehow feels like home. Not all tides leave beauty. Some bring oil, debris, sorrow. Even these are part of the memory. The earth does not edit its past. It carries all of it forward. As you listen to the hush of distant waves, you might feel how your own life has been shaped by similar repetitions. Moments that seem small, a phrase repeated in childhood, the sound of a door closing, a goodbye at a train station. These experiences are like tides. They leave subtle impressions on your shores, and over time, they form who you are. There are places along the coast where people mark the tide's reach with sticks or stones, watching where the sea chooses to rest. In some cultures, the rhythm of tides is still a sacred clock. Ceremonies, migrations, planting cycles, all guided by the moon's touch. You watch a small crab scuttle sideways, leaving faint marks in the sand that the next wave will surely erase. But for now, they exist. The same is true of every breath you take. Fleeting, and yet forever part of the pattern. The shoreline reminds you, nothing is truly lost. Only changed, only moved, only softened by time. Even your body knows this language. Your heartbeat follows rhythm. Your breath rises and falls. You sleep, you wake, you sleep again. Each cycle leaves its trace. Tonight, as the tide returns, the sea will reach up and gently smooth away the day. The shore will sigh and begin again. It is never the same shore, and yet it is always the same sea. You lean back into the sand, feeling its memory beneath you. Above, the moon hangs like a patient witness. It has watched this same coastline for billions of years. It has seen the continents drift apart. It has seen the first creatures crawl from water to land. It remembers when there were no footprints. And yet, it is still here, watching, pulling, guiding. The shore holds your weight now, not heavily, but gently, like it understands the gift of presence. And as you close your eyes, you can almost hear the coast whisper. You are not separate from memory. You are made of it. You drift, carried by the thought. If the shore remembers, then what else might be listening, just beneath the waves? Chapter 8. Creatures of the Lunar Clock. Beneath the surface of the sea, time moves differently. It doesn't tick or chime. It pulses. It sways. It whispers in rhythms older than any human clock. You drift slowly downward, your breath quiet, your limbs loose, as if rocked to sleep by an unseen cradle. The deeper you go, the more you feel it, the moon's gentle presence, not above you, but within the water itself. Around you, the ocean begins to stir, not chaotically, but in a pattern, a choreography. You see it first in the movement of the plankton, tiny specks of life, rising slowly toward the surface like stars climbing a sky made of salt. They shimmer faintly, glowing with soft blues and greens, bioluminescent like moonlight pressed into living form. Their journey isn't random. They're following the tide, following the moon. You didn't know time could be liquid, but here it is, flowing in patterns that living things have followed for millions of years. A crab emerges from a sand burrow, each step slow, deliberate. It doesn't need a watch. It knows, by some ancient script written into its shell, that the tide has turned. The moon has spoken, and it listens. Many creatures of the sea obey this lunar whisper. Some sleep when the tide goes out. Some hunt when it comes in. Coral time their spawning not to the hour, but to the phase of the moon, synchronized explosions of color and life that bloom once each lunar cycle. In the stillness of night, entire reefs pulse with a single, shared breath. Imagine thousands of coral polyps, invisible mouths opening in unison, releasing the next generation into the water. It's not chaos. It's a slow waltz with gravity and light. Turtles, ancient mariners, return to the beaches where they were born. They climb onto the sand beneath full moons, digging nests by lunar glow. Their eggs hatch weeks later, and the hatchlings wait, quietly, for night. When the moon is bright, they rush toward the sea, guided by reflection, by silver on water. The moon is not only a clock, it is a lighthouse. You pause here, floating in this thought, that the moon is in their memory, that somehow, despite never having seen it, they know to wait for it. That light, distance, and gravity can speak to instinct. The horseshoe crab, older than most species still walking the earth, climbs onto shore in the spring tides. Their arrival is so predictable that it has become part of another creature's life, the red-knobbed bird, which times its migration to feast on the crab's eggs. One lunar cycle feeds another. Wings follow shells, clocks inside clocks. You drift near a reef now, the water warmer, shallower. A school of fish turns in a single flash, a curve of silver. Their bodies react to something unseen. Perhaps it's current. Perhaps it's the pull of the moon's tide on their environment. No alarms ring, just instinct, tuned to a rhythm humans have almost forgotten. But not entirely. Fishermen once watched the moon to guide their nets. Some still do. They knew and know that certain fish rise with the tide, drawn from the deep to feed under moonlight. Farmers near coastal marshes plant with tides in mind, knowing the water's reach is timed by the moon's cycle. Even your own body listens, faintly. Sleep studies have shown that during full moons, some people sleep less, dream more vividly. The light, even unseen, nudges something within. There's a story in your cells, too. You are made of water, more than half. Your chemistry is salted, your blood echoes the sea. It's possible, just maybe, that your ancestors carried some memory of the tide, passed down not as language, but as sensation. You feel calmer near the sea not just because it's beautiful, but because it remembers you. A soft current wraps around your legs now. It pushes nothing. It invites. It hums with old rhythms, the kind that don't need explaining. Beneath it, sea urchins crawl between rocks. Their movement, too, is tied to the lunar ebb and flow. Some species reproduce only during new moons, when predators are least likely to see them. Even in the darkest places, ocean trenches where no light reaches, organisms follow the moon's pull, not by sight, but by pressure, by currents, by tiny changes in the underwater atmosphere. Life feels the moon, even when it cannot see it. And so do you. You close your eyes. The ocean sways. In the stillness, you feel your breath sinking with the waves. In, out, rise, fall. You don't have to try. Your body already knows. The moon has been your companion for longer than you've been human. It has pulled at your tides long before you had words for gravity, or orbit, or time. There is a comfort in knowing this, that no matter how far technology pulls you away from nature, your biology still belongs to something older. You, like the coral, like the crab, like the sea turtle, are part of this lunar clock. You drift again, deeper now, past fields of seagrass waving like meadows in a midnight wind. You see more creatures, some asleep, some gently feeding, some simply floating. Everything is quiet. Everything is tuned. And you wonder, if the moon can shape behavior, could it shape memory? Could its soft, consistent pull be part of the reason why some places, some feelings, stay with you forever? You don't need an answer tonight. Only the rhythm. Only the sense that you, like the ocean, are connected to a time beyond ticking. And as you rise again, slowly, toward the surface, you begin to think not of creatures, but of the moon itself, of where it came from, of how it came to be here, of how long it has watched, and whether it has changed as much as we have. That's where you're heading next, into the deep past, when the tides were stronger, when the moon was closer, when the earth spun faster, and the whole world felt younger. Chapter 9. When the moon was closer. Long ago, the moon hovered much nearer to the earth than it does now. Not just a little nearer, much closer. You close your eyes and travel there, back through time, to a planet that still feels young beneath your feet. The air smells raw, untouched, heavy with heat and possibility. The skies swirl with unfamiliar colors, and everything pulses like a new heart learning its rhythm. The moon, vast and luminous, dominates the sky above you. It appears 3 times larger than it does now, hanging low and golden like a lantern swinging over a cradle. Its glow does not merely light the night, it fills it. And with its nearness, the tides rise high, then fall away with force. They don't whisper like they do now. They roar. Tides, in this ancient world, are wild things. The moon's gravity pulls fiercely at the oceans, dragging them across the face of the earth with an energy you can almost feel in your bones. The sea doesn't just rise and fall. It surges, as though the planet itself is breathing harder, faster. You are standing on a young shoreline, and the ocean rushes toward you with a power that feels alive. It climbs the land, higher than seems possible, before retreating with a thunderous sigh. This happens over and over, day and night, each time the moon moves across the sky. But back then, a day didn't last 24 hours. Because the moon was closer, the Earth spun faster. The early Earth completed one full rotation in about 5 to 6 hours. That means the sun rose and set 4 times in what we now call a day. Imagine that. 4 dawns, 4 dusks, a sky in constant motion. You would barely have time to sleep before morning returned. Time itself was different. Not just shorter, but more chaotic, more compressed. And yet, even then, the moon had begun its slow journey outward. Inch by inch, year by year, it has been drifting away. The tides, like you, remember this slow parting. Every time the moon pulls at the sea resists just a little, and that resistance pushes the moon away. It's like a dance where each step sends one partner slowly across the floor. It's not a dramatic departure, just 3.8 centimeters per year, about the same speed your fingernails grow. But over billions of years, it adds up. Once, the moon was 14,000 miles away. Today, it's nearly 239,000 miles distant. That journey is written into the rhythm of the tides. And into you. You lie back on the sand, and you feel the earth spinning, not just through space, but through time. As the moon moves farther, the earth slows. That's why your day is now 24 hours. The same tidal friction that pushes the moon away also breaks the earth's spin just a little each year. So while the moon leaves, time stretches. It's as though the earth is growing sleepy, taking longer to turn beneath the stars. There's poetry in that. The moon pulling away, the earth slowing down. It's not a breakup, it's a mutual softening, a relationship evolving. And yet, even in its distance, the moon still shapes your world. You can imagine the tides becoming quieter, less dramatic over time. But still they move, faithful to their lunar rhythm. On that ancient earth, tides might have flooded entire valleys and reshaped continents. Today, they gently nudge the shore, carrying driftwood and memory. Life itself may owe its origin to that old, wild moon. Scientists believe those powerful early tides helped mix nutrients in the oceans, stirring the chemical soup of early Earth into motion, back and forth, again and again, until something, perhaps a single cell, stirred. Your ancestors, though they had no language for it, were born of tides. Every drop of your blood contains salt from the sea. Your heartbeat, your breath, your circadian rhythm. They are echoes of planetary cycles that began when the moon was young and close. The moon doesn't just pull oceans, it pulls you too, and perhaps it always has. Some nights, when sleep is far away, you can feel it, that gentle tug behind your eyes, or in the bones of your chest. A longing, a pull towards something you cannot see, but know is there. And as you lie here now, in this chapter of stillness, you can sense the moon overhead, still keeping watch, still pulling at the water in your veins, still marking time, slowly, steadily. But time doesn't only move forward. Sometimes it turns inward, loops back. So as you listen to the surf and feel the earth's gentle sway, you wonder, what else has the moon touched? What else follows its rhythm? Your thoughts drift to those who've evolved with this rhythm, not humans, but the ancient swimmers, crawlers, and shifters of the sea. And the question floats softly into the dark. What creatures live by the moon's clock? We'll see in next chapter. Chapter 10. Your body is mostly ocean. You lie still now, in a room hushed by night. The world around you softens. Even the sounds begin to drift like the tide, rising and falling with a rhythm older than time. Your eyes may be closed or half-lidded, but your awareness lingers, floating gently somewhere between waking and sleep. And in this quiet, you begin to feel something more ancient than memory, a pull inside your body, as if the moon is not only above you, but somehow within you. You are, after all, made mostly of water. Your body holds oceans of its own, not as vast, not as blue, but just as alive. Your blood, your cells, your breath are soaked in salt and stirred by hidden tides. You are salt water in motion, a walking echo of the sea. And just like the Earth's oceans, you too respond to gravity's subtle touch. The moon pulls at you, though you rarely feel it. But it's there, a quiet influence in your bloodstream, your heartbeat, your sleep. Science tells us that the moon's gravitational pull doesn't just raise ocean tides. It also creates tiny shifts in the fluids within living beings. Some researchers have found changes in human sleep patterns during full moons, as if your body knows when the moon is bright even behind clouds or curtains. Some animals even time their mating, feeding, or migrations by lunar cycles. You, too, are more in tune than you think. You are not separate from nature. You are its softest part. Close your eyes and imagine your heartbeat, not the thump of it, but the wave, the rise and fall, the quiet throb that feels, in some way, like the sea lapping at a shore. Your heart pulses, your blood flows, your breath swells, a tide inside skin. Each inhale is a wave rising. Each exhale is water falling back. And as the moon moves around the earth, it moves you too. Your body's chemistry dances slightly to its rhythm. Melatonin, the hormone that signals sleep, appears to fluctuate in harmony with the lunar phases. During full moons, melatonin levels drop for some people, making sleep more restless, dreams more vivid. Perhaps you've noticed it. Perhaps your body remembers the moon, even if your mind forgets. This isn't magic. It's biology wrapped in gravity. Your body holds minerals drawn from ancient seas, sodium, calcium, magnesium. They flow through you as they do through ocean water. When you sweat, the salt on your skin is not so different from the salt that lines the shore. You are not just made of the ocean. You are an ocean in miniature, warm, moving, responding. Your brain, too, floats in water. Cerebrospinal fluid surrounds it, cushions it, feeds it. Like a tide pool cradling delicate life, your skull is a coastline of thought. Inside, neurons spark and drift, sending signals like currents. The moon's pull may be faint here, but it whispers still, not in words, but in patterns, sleep rhythms, emotional tides, moments of quiet reflection. Even the rhythms of your menstrual cycle echo the moon's path. Roughly 28 days, just like the lunar month. Some see this as coincidence, but coincidence in biology often points to something deeper, a memory buried in bone and blood. A reminder that life on Earth grew up with the moon, learned to rise and rest by its light. As you breathe slowly, you begin to notice this belonging. You are not a separate creature observing the cosmos. You are part of the whole dance. The moon turns, the earth spins, and your heart keeps time. It's easy to forget, in the rush of modern days, how connected you really are. But tonight, in this quiet space, you remember. There is comfort in knowing that your body doesn't resist nature. It participates. It listens. It shifts. It mirrors. You don't have to control the tide inside you. Just noticing it is enough. And so you drift. You let your thoughts become smaller. You feel your body is water, not fixed, not hard, but fluid. Every muscle loosens, like waves unfurling. Every breath cools and widens. Sleep is not a destination tonight. It's a tide, and you are letting go into it. Outside, somewhere far above, the moon continues on its path. Quiet, patient, and precise. Inside, your own tides follow. You may not know the language of gravity, but your body does. And in that knowing, there is peace. You are not still. You are held. You are not empty. You are filled with rhythm. And as you gently drift towards sleep, your awareness softens into something ancient, something that has always known how to rest. Even the smallest seas follow the moon, even you. And yet, if you could step outside your own body for a moment, float just above, you might wonder, are these tides truly unique to Earth? Do other moons in the cosmos call to other oceans, hidden deep beneath alien crusts? You might find the answer, not in dreams, but in the quiet chill of distant worlds. Chapter 11. Echoes on Other Worlds. You lie still, eyes closed, but your mind floats far beyond. You've journeyed with the tides, felt their pull in your chest, watched them rise and fall like breath. Now, you drift farther, beyond the familiar hush of Earth's waves, beyond the pull of your own moon. Tonight, the tide carries you into deeper space. There are other moons out there, hundreds, some tiny, cold, and pockmarked like ancient timekeepers. Others, massive and veiled in clouds, circling gas giants that glow like embers in the dark. You begin to wonder, if our moon can stir whole oceans, what might these distant moons awaken? Europa comes first, Jupiter's icy child. She glides in silence, her surface etched with cracks and lines, like frost tracing the memory of movement. Beneath her frozen shell lies a hidden ocean, salt water deeper than Earth's, locked away in a world of cold. And yet, she moves. Tides below churn, unseen, warmed by the grip of Jupiter's gravity. It's strange to think of tides without shorelines. Strange to imagine an ocean no sunlight has touched. But in Europa's dark sea, water sways to the rhythm of orbit, a dance of push and pull, heat and freeze. The ice creaks, the sea groans, and you listen, suspended, as if the moon itself breathes below the crust. Tides are not just water moving. They are friction, heat, and rhythm. On Europa, this rhythm may be life's heartbeat. Scientists imagine hydrothermal vents, places where the ocean floor leaks warmth, stirring chemicals and currents. And maybe, just maybe, something stirs in return. Not creatures you'd recognize, no fins or eyes, but perhaps cells, slow, ancient, patient, floating like dreams. You drift again, leaving Europa behind like a whisper. Your mind glides to Enceladus, Saturn's glittering pearl, smaller than Europa, yet no less alive. You approach from behind its bright ring, watching as it spews water from its south pole, great icy plumes stretching into space. It's as if Enceladus is exhaling. The plumes rise from cracks called tiger stripes, long, warm fractures in the ice. Beneath them, an ocean too, warmed by tides. Saturn pulls on Enceladus, squeezing it gently, over and over, like kneading dough. The result is warmth, enough to keep water from freezing, enough to push it skyward. You float through the mist. Tiny salt crystals dust your thoughts. This is ocean spray from a world you've never touched. And in that spray are clues, organic molecules, the building blocks of life. The same ingredients that may have sparked your own beginning. You realize now, tides are more than Earth's lullaby. They are a force that warms, stirs, and creates. On Earth, they guide crabs, call turtles to shore, pull fish through estuaries. On Enceladus, they push oceans into space. They leave fingerprints in orbiting rings. They whisper stories even where sunlight never reaches. Next, you drift to Titan, Saturn's largest moon. A world with lakes and rivers, but not of water. Here, the tides move methane. The air is thick, the landscape surreal. You descend slowly, passing clouds of orange haze, until the lakes come into view, smooth, black mirrors resting in icy basins. The moon pulls at Earth's seas. Saturn pulls at Titan's lakes. Methane rises, shifts, and falls, obeying the same ancient gravity. Even here, the rhythm endures. Tides don't need to look familiar to be felt. And perhaps, just perhaps, life doesn't need to look familiar either. Titan's chemistry is strange, alien, cold, but rich. Complex molecules swirl through its skies and fall like snow. The building blocks are here too, waiting for a spark, for warmth, for a tide to stir them into story. As you hover, you imagine what life could be like here. Slow, quiet, careful. Not built from water, but from methane, hydrogen, ethane. Not warm-blooded, but cold-enduring. A kind of life that dreams differently, but dreams nonetheless. You float above these foreign tides, one by one. Each moon a variation on a theme. Tidal friction, subsurface seas, rhythms without waves. You begin to see a pattern. Where tides move, energy flows. Where energy flows, chemistry stirs. And where chemistry stirs, the possibility of life awakens. Back on Earth, tides are familiar, predictable, comforting. They lap against your ankles, pull boats into harbors, shape coastlines in silence. But now you understand. They are part of something far larger, a cosmic rhythm, played on different instruments. Every moon has its own song, some deep and muffled beneath miles of ice, others sung through geysers or whispered in methane lakes. But the melody, the movement, is shared. You begin to wonder how many songs go unheard, how many oceans lie waiting, stirred by moons and systems you've never seen. If life needs water, warmth, and time, then tides may be the cradle. You breathe in. You feel the pull of Earth's own moon again, the one you've always known. She feels familiar now, like a first teacher. But you also sense her place in something wider, a quiet, universal choreography. Gravity linking worlds like pearls on a string. As you prepare to return, you let the knowledge settle that tides are storytellers, not just in motion, but in meaning. They bridge gaps between worlds. They show how even distant, frozen places may pulse with unseen energy. The moon, you realize, is no longer alone. It has sisters, icy and strange, powerful and poetic. And they, too, may be shaping lives. But if your moon is one among many, then what does that mean for you? For your body, your tides, your place in this grand rhythm? You begin to descend slowly, back toward the earth, toward its oceans, toward the waters that shaped your bones. And as your mind sinks closer to home, you begin to wonder, what if the tide isn't just outside you, but inside you too? Chapter 12. You, the sea, and the moon. The tide comes in slowly tonight. You sit near the water's edge, knees pulled close, toes nestled in cool sand. The moon hovers above you, full and pale and timeless. It feels familiar now, like an old friend who speaks in gestures rather than words. You've followed its path, listened to its stories, watched how it holds the sea like a gentle breath. The air is still. Only the soft hiss of the waves fills your ears, like a lullaby repeated since long before you were born. Here, beneath the open sky, you begin to feel something deeper than thought. You feel connection. You are not separate from this landscape. You are not simply observing the ocean. You are part of its rhythm, made from its salt and sway. You are made of water, not just metaphorically, but physically. Nearly 3/4 of you is liquid. Every cell in your body is bathed in it. Your blood, your tears, your breath, all follow the same subtle cycles of pull and release. The moon does not only move the sea, it moves you. Not enough to notice in your bones, perhaps, but enough that it whispers in your sleep. Enough that it tugs at the tides in your cells, guiding hormones, regulating rest, nudging moods. The same gravitational pull that lifts the ocean's skin also brushes gently against the fluids inside you. And that makes you wonder, if the moon can lift whole oceans, what else is it lifting? You close your eyes. The sand is still warm from the sun, and the breeze is slow. There's a rhythm beneath everything now, in the water, in your breath, in the stars above. You remember the moon's many stories. How it once clung tightly to Earth, making days spin faster and tides crash louder. How, even now, it slowly drifts away, inch by inch, loosening its grip over eons, but never letting go entirely, like a parent watching from a gentle distance. You remember that life itself may have risen from the tidal pools it helped create, that the dance of wet and dry, of surge and retreat, may have stirred life into motion. And still today, the moon choreographs so many lives. Coral spawning, fish migration, the nesting of sea turtles, the flowering of strange plants in tidal zones, even human behavior in subtle ways. It's all part of a pattern older than memory, a gravitational lullaby, and within that lullaby, you exist. The sand beneath you has seen millions of high tides. It has cradled shells, bones, driftwood, forgotten things. It remembers, and as the tide creeps up again, closer now to your ankles, it feels like the sea is remembering you too. Not just your body, but your being, your quietness, your wondering, your presence. Tonight, the moon is full, but it does not feel overwhelming. Its brightness is not sharp, but soft. It stretches silver across the water, and the path it paints leads directly to where you sit. You watch the water reflected, shimmering gently, then still, then shimmering again. Somewhere out there, other moons orbit other worlds. Some of those moons pull at hidden oceans beneath ice. Some create volcanoes of fire or fountains of frost. But this moon, your moon, pulls at something else too. Something inside you that has no name. A feeling, a softness, a remembering. This whole time, it's been teaching you how to slow down, how to breathe in cycles, how to let go and return again, how to be moved, and to move gently in return. You think about how the moon is constant and changing all at once. Always there, yet never the same shape. Always above, yet always moving. And you realize you are the same. You too are full sometimes, and sometimes unseen. You too move through phases. You too cast light even in darkness. As the tide inches up, it erases the footprints behind you, smoothing the sand as if the beach itself is preparing to sleep. You let your hand trace the dampness at your side. It's cooler now. The sea has returned, claiming what was always part of it. You feel quiet, not the silence of emptiness, but the stillness that comes from being understood, from knowing you belong. You realize you are not just lying near the ocean. You are home. The moon watches from above. It does not speak, but it does not need to. Its presence says everything. I am here. I am with you. I move the water. I move you too. You let your eyes close again. In the hush that follows, your heartbeat feels like a tide, rising, falling, rising. You think of all the rhythms, daily, monthly, yearly, that mark time through movement. The pull of planets, the spin of stars, the breath of the earth, the turning of light into night. You followed the moon to the edges of science and sleep. And now, you simply float in what you know. Not the knowing of facts, but the knowing of feeling. The kind that settles into your chest like calm. And in that calm, something stirs. Not urgency, but curiosity. If the moon can move oceans and cells and dreams, what else can move you? You breathe in. You breathe out. You let the tide take you. And the moon keeps watch. Always. Still. Waiting. Softly turning. As if inviting you to wonder what else the night sky might hold, and what stories are yet to rise with the next tide. And now, the tide rests. You've wandered through moonlit waters and drifted in the deep rhythm of the earth. You've seen how a silent sphere above can choreograph waves below. How something so distant can be so intimately woven into your every breath, your very being. The moon, with all its quiet power, never needed to shout. It simply pulled, gently, repeatedly, faithfully, and through that pull, life found its rhythm. The ocean danced, creatures evolved, minds wondered, and you listened. You understand now that the moon is not just a glowing shape in the sky. It is a keeper of time, a sculptor of coastlines, a silent companion in your sleepless nights. It does not promise answers, only presence, and maybe that is enough. As you lie back now, the ocean fading into a soft hush, your thoughts drifting like sea foam, you feel something settle in your chest. A knowing, a calmness. You are part of something ancient, something vast. You are water. You are rhythm. You are tide. And the moon keeps watch. So sleep now. Let your mind ebb with the stars and flow with the sea. Let the tides of your dreams rise quietly, pulled by wonder. Tomorrow, the moon will still be there, steady, glowing, waiting to guide you home again. Always watching, always pulling, always with you.